Louise. Nice to meet you. It's a very special moment for us that work with human reproduction to be here with you today. Thank you for accepting our invitation for this interview.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to do this interview.
Okay, so we are glad to be here with you. And actually, I met you at ASRM in San Antonio. We have a picture together. So this is not our not our first meeting. So we will start with some questions for you.
How did you react when you learned you were a test tube baby, an IVF baby, and when did you learn about it?
I was 4 years old, just before I started school, and my mum and dad decided that they would sit me down and try to explain in the easiest way that I was a little bit different. The way I was conceived and born was a little bit different to all my friends at school and everything. So they showed me the video of my birth, which was pretty gruesome for a 4-year-old. Born, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's on YouTube. I was born by a C-section, so I was covered in blood and mucus. So it was pretty gruesome for me, but they just basically explained that Bob Edwards and Patrick Steptoe helped mum and dad have me. Quite simple, and just said that I was, the words they used was I was born a different way to everybody else, which as a 4-year-old, I was used to all the press interest, so I just sort of went, okay.
How did you understand that, the meaning of being a test tube baby? Did you, as a child, thought about fantasies like having superpowers or something like that?
I think it was reported in one of the papers that I could move things with my mind, which unfortunately I can't. It would be brilliant if I could, but I can't. I don't think I fully understood until probably in my teens. I just sort of was used to all these people wanting to take pictures of me and wanting to meet me and things like that. So it was my normal life. That was how I had it since I was born, and I just thought that was normal.
When did you come to understand the historical significance of your birth, and how did you view this today?
Today, I'm very proud to have been the first of an estimated 12 million people now born in the world as a result of IVF or assisted reproductive techniques that all started with my birth. So I think it's a real significance came home to me when I had my own children, because then you realise what it's like to carry them for 9 months, give birth to them, and then have you're in sole charge of this little person that depends on you. And I think that's when it sort of really hit home, when I had my children.
How do you see your parents' courage in pursuing such a groundbreaking treatment to conceive you?
My mum, if my mum was here now, she would say she wasn't brave, she just did what she had to do to have a baby. I think she was very brave. Stepping into the unknown, it hadn't happened before. She was just so desperate to have a child of her own with my dad. She would have done anything. There's a story she used to say to people, if they told her she'd get pregnant, she would go and stand in the middle of Trafalgar Square in London and stand on her head naked, and she would get pregnant. She said she would do it. So I think that just proves, well, I mean, she did it. She was just an amazing lady.
And how did your parents handle with the huge media attention surrounding your birth and still provided your love and protection?
I was 12 days old before we could even come home to Bristol. I was born up in Oldham, which is about 400 miles away from Bristol. And I was 12 days old and they had to transport me down in the back of an ambulance, which I've seen footage of when we arrived home in Bristol with all the press around. There were so many from all over the world. We only had a little house and just the mass of people there that I've seen on videos, and the scrum of them trying to protect me. My dad putting his jacket over my head and just getting me into the house because it was just so manic and mental. They were just there. I think they did a pretty good job at protecting me. When I went to school, they stopped most media interviews, unless it was Patrick Steptoe or Bob Edwards that had asked us to do it for them. We stopped everything because they thought they wanted me to have a normal schooling. So, which I did, because back then the school was told not to let any press in, no photographs were to be taken, which they never bothered me at school, so that was a good thing.
And how did you feel when you met them, the pioneers of human reproduction, Patrick Steptoe and Bob Edwards? How did you feel when you met them?
They were always in my life. We always used to talk about them. Obviously in interviews I used to talk about them. They were like grandfathers to me. I was 10 when Patrick Steptoe died, so I've not got many memories of Patrick. The one I do have is we went to visit him and his wife in his home, and they had a big swimming pool in the back garden. And me being a sister, Natalie, my younger sister, was getting on my nerves, so I went to push her in the swimming pool. And you just heard this big booming voice of Patrick telling me, "Don't you dare!" And it just frightened me, and that was it. Bob Edwards, obviously I spent many more years with Bob Edwards. He was invited, he came to my wedding in 2004. When I found out I was pregnant with my first child, Cameron, apart from telling my mum and dad and my husband's family, I wrote a letter to Bob Edwards to make sure he was one of the first people to know as well. So just like extended family. And Jean Purdy, unfortunately, she died, I think, in 1985. So my memories aren't very clear because I think there were so many people around when I was growing up that they sort of all merge into one. So I haven't got many memories of Jean, but I know somebody that does, and they said she was a wonderful lady. I mean, she was brilliant. She was the one that saw the cells dividing that became me. So she was like my first babysitter. So without the three of them, I wouldn't be here, and nor would 12 million others of us. So
what was it like for you to become a mother? And do you children understand that you are famous?
Cameron is my eldest. He's nearly 17. So he knows all about it. He's learnt about it at school. He quite often comes with me and listens in on interviews or things I'm doing. So he's quite aware of it. Aidan, my youngest, is only 10. He knows, I basically told him that Bob Edwards and Patrick Steptoe helped Nanny and Grandad have me. Aidan, Bob Edwards died about a month and a half before I had Aidan. So Cameron got to meet Bob, but unfortunately Aidan didn't. So, but we talk about them all the time. If you said to either of them, who are they would know. So they're very aware. just Aidan doesn't know the technical bits at the moment.
And how do you see the future of assisted reproduction, like the influence of technology and artificial intelligence?
I'm not a scientist. I mean, I don't begin to even understand all the assisted reproduction techniques there are. I think we just need to trust in doctors and scientists to take it as far as we need to go to be able to help people.
What message do you believe your birth conveys to the world?
Patrick Steptoe gave me my middle name, Joy, because he wanted to help create families and bring joy to the thousands of childless couples that are out there. They wanted it to be for normal, everyday people. That was their plan. I think that is truthfully why they chose Mum and Dad, because Mum and Dad didn't have any money. A couple of years before they had me, they used to sleep rough in railway carriages and things like that. I know when I was, before I was born, my dad used to do 2 jobs. Mum was up in Oldham staying, so they just wanted it for everyday people, to be able to help them have families. If without them, there would be a lot of unhappy people in this world, and I basically owe my life to them, which is why I do what I do.
Even your mother saying that she was not brave, we believe she was. And she was brave as so many other couples that are seeking to become parents. And if you could give an advice for those couples who are hesitating to look for a treatment, what could you say to them?
My mum never gave up. The moment she met Patrick Steptoe, she believed that he would help her have a baby. She, like we said, we think she was brave. She just wanted a baby, and she just clung to anything that would be able to help her have one. And Patrick and Bob and Jean, they all helped. And if my mum can do it, my mum was quite a quiet, shy person. If my mum can do it, anybody can do it. And if my mum was here, she would say, never give up hope.
One more question, Louise. You visited Brazil before, right? What are your thoughts about our country?
When I visited Brazil, Mum was alive, so it was with Mum. Cameron was about 6 months old. So it was we went to Sao Paulo to visit an IVF clinic, and then we had a holiday in Bahia, and it was amazing. I've never been to anywhere quite like it. We went to see the turtle sanctuary. The only wish I have now is that we could go back, because Cameron's doing animal care at college, and to be able to see those turtles, he was 6 months, so he doesn't remember any of it, but he would, I think he'd be amazed at what he's actually saw. It was so pretty, and just seeing things like that, it's beautiful. Sadly, I've not been to the south of the country and the Rio Grande do Sul. I am told Porto Alegre is a beautiful place, and I've heard good things about the doctors there and the cutting-edge technology used by Fertilitat that is really helping people with their IVF journey.
Hopefully we can have you here at some time. It will be a pleasure to have your visit.
That would be wonderful.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for sharing your experience and your life with us. For us that work with human reproduction, it's such a great pleasure having the opportunity to talk to you and having the opportunity to show everyone this magical that was the first IVF baby. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.